This morning on Today's Family, we're talking about the inverse power of praise. Sometimes you can't help yourself. Your kid takes a swing, you say, hey, good job. Or they get good grades, you give them a reward. But recent studies show that certain praise can have negative effects on a child's well-being. Our own Tiki Barber, father of two, has the lowdown on the praise craze. And it is a craze in some families.
It is a little bit of a craze. I struggle sometimes when I praise my kids. But statistics show that 85% of parents think that praising is important. But it really depends on the type of praise you give. The secret to overcoming this overpraising dilemma depends on a few key words: effort, not outcome. Oh, yeah. Parents today have become praise happy.
And I'm Peter Sagal.
It's something that NPR's Peter Sagal is glad about.
I've got 3 daughters. You want to give your children the sense that they have, in essence, a superpower.
But recently, there's been some hype about the downside of all that praise.
Overpraising can set up a fear of failure scenario. Kids can become overly dependent on praise and on your approval.
Is the risk that, like, because somebody's finger paints were praised too much when they were in preschool, they're going to, like, not do a quarterly report Sunday as well as it could be done?
Nice hit. Job, Kev. I do think praising definitely has gotten a little bit more out of control.
It's not about winning or losing. It's about passion.
Take, for example, Exhibit A. Greg Fokker's Wall of Gaylord.
Well, I didn't know they made 9th place ribbons.
I wouldn't even want my son to have 9th place. What is that showing?
Did you win a lot?
Yeah.
Is that what you got the trophies for?
No, every team gets one since I played.
Psychologist Alexandra Barsby says parents should focus on their child's effort, not outcome, when dishing out kudos.
You want to praise things like effort, generosity, kindness, perseverance. If you praise things, on the other hand, like intelligence, if you call your child a little genius all the time, then your child is actually going to just feel a tremendous amount of pressure to constantly perform to perfection.
But refining compliments in the real world is not always easy for mother of 3, Robin Alsop.
Sometimes in the kitchen, my daughter will be like, Mom, look at my picture, isn't it great? You know, I'm like, oh yeah, look, it's wonderful. And then I turn around and I start doing other things.
Renee, you like coloring? So I was at a house with a little girl, her name was Renee, and she colored this monkey for me. And all I wanted to say was, that's phenomenal.
Well, now that you've learned so much about praise, why don't you tell me what you might say about this picture?
Renee, you did a great job staying within the lines. I love the colors and the bows.
Tiki, I love the way you used praise. You were very specific, and you really pointed out what you liked about this picture. Great job.
Like a mutual admiration society. So how does this all boil down on a practical level? Po Bronson, the father of 2, wrote a cover story about the praise craze for New York Magazine. Stephanie Wilder-Taylor, mother of 1 with 2 on the way, is author of Sippy Cups Are Not for Chardonnay, and Tiki's here as well. Hey, folks, good to see you.
Great to see you.
Overpraiser. I got 3 kids under 6. But I agree with that, Robin. Oftentimes it's a way of shortening a conversation. I go, hey, that's great because I'm busy. Big problem?
You want to watch out for praise being too broad rather than specific, as Tiki mentioned when he was instructing on coloring within the lines.
Well, I think the hardest part is you feel like being specific is kind of corny. You know, saying, as this picture illustrates, look at the eyes. Look, when you just want to say you did a phenomenal job coloring this in for a 3-year-old or a 6-year-old. Right?
And what's wrong with that?
Well, I mean, a lot of people think that, and I am one of these people, that if you praise at a young age, you build self-esteem. And now there's this whole other school of thought that, okay, you may build it now, but down the road, when they don't measure up to their peers, and they think they should, you shatter their self-esteem. How do you feel about that?
Self-esteem can be a house made of brick or a house made of straw. And self-esteem derived from false, unearned praise crumbles the minute a child hits difficulty.
Well, I think the biggest part of your article, and this is what I got from it, is that when you praise too much, saying you're the smartest kid in the world, you can do whatever you want, they don't take on challenges. When they get a challenge, they shy away from it because they're afraid of not getting praise.
That's right. That children think showing effort is proof you can't cut it on your natural gifts, and so they stigmatize showing effort and stop working hard.
Stephanie, do you think praise makes a child self-confident or not?
I do think praise makes a kid self-confident, and I think if they're not getting it at home, where are they going to get it? I mean, there's plenty of time for the world to come and bite you in the butt and tear you down. You know, I mean, I think if you're not getting the love and all the encouragement at home, where are you going to get it?
Does a lot of it depend on age? Because I think if for younger children, you can't praise them enough. But as they get old enough to understand when you're being fake with your praise or just saying it just to say it, it can be a little bit dangerous.
Great question, because by the age of 7, kids no longer take praise at face value. And why should they? They've been told, you did great, when they didn't even finish their math homework. And they picked up the pattern and deciphered its real meaning. Any kind of failure becomes something so unspeakable, so terrible, my parents can't mention it.
So in other words, they start to question their own self-worth because they're not hearing it anymore, or they're thinking their parents are just full of it. And they have no barometer by which to judge anything.
That's exactly right, that parents actually no longer hold their parents, kids no longer hold their parents' opinion in high regard because the parent seems to be lying to them.
What do you all think about this concept? And this is not when we were kids growing up. When we were kids growing up playing sports teams, only the kids who were best on the teams got trophies and awards. Now everybody gets a trophy.
And not only that, you get graduations from kindergarten, from 2nd grade, things that you're supposed to do.
What do you all think about that concept?
I'm going to be the only one here, but I think that kids should get a trophy. I think that, like, I'm a 40-year-old woman who's petrified to play on, like, a male-female softball team because I'm going to be terrible at it. And I think if I was young and tried to do sports and I got a trophy for sucking, I would have made me feel
Stephanie,
better.
if you got a trophy for stinking, as you would say, and then you get older and you compare your skills to the people around you, you'd say, wait a minute, this is all screwed up because I'm not good.
I'm a pro softball player. I mean, I just think I might have felt a little better about myself and maybe, you know, joined up a little bit more and not felt like, oh, I'm going to be ostracized for even trying because I'm so bad. I think when you're young, it's supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be an opportunity to try new things. And if you're encouraged and praised, you're more likely to try new things.
So we're coming to the consensus. When you're young, you can praise as much as you want. Once you get a little bit older, be more specific.
All right. So do we have a consensus? Still to come on today. Fascinating.